Chapter 1876. Spear of Longinus. The workers around were all stunned. They whispered to each other, wondering what kind of person could defeat the extremely powerful Su Chunlei. Fatty Su kept the suspense going for a long time before he said leisurely, "That person is our Supreme Pavilion." Ah! A burst of excited shouts like a girl seeing her idol suddenly resounded throughout the square. Oh my God! I should have guessed that there is no one else who can defeat the Marshal except him. It is an honor to be defeated by the Supreme. Su Chunlei's mouth curled up, and he could hardly suppress it. He then said calmly, "That's right. At that time, I was defeated by only half a move. In fact, I was not in good condition at that time, and I didn't sleep for 7 days and 7 nights. But I am willing to accept defeat. Since then, I have been following Chaos Pavilion and have been his #1 general. And now, there are few people in the world who can survive the Supreme Pavilion. I am the only one." Aiwa. Another burst of excited voices rang out. Zhang Yi was watching this scene not far away. Of course, he noticed that Fatty Su could hardly suppress the smile on his face, but he was too lazy to expose him. He just said to Bailey Chongqing beside him, "You see, that's why the world is a huge makeshift team. As long as you can pretend to be awesome, many people will really think you are awesome." Bailey Chongqing couldn't help laughing as well. But on the surface, Fatty Su's words seemed to be nothing wrong. Although most of the time, he was hiding in Mu Yan's shadow space and rarely participated in a direct decisive battle. But just tell me whether Zhang Yi is good in every battle he fights. Have you never lost? Zhang Yi looked at the newly rebuilt high fortress next to him. It's more than twice as big as before. The villa inside is still in the state when Prince Wang first built it. The family lacks design experts, and the original villa was designed by the world's top designer and does not need to be changed. The defense is more than twice as strong, and several more naval cannons have been added, all of which are improved based on the weapon technology of mechanical civilization. Now, even if Zhang Yi is not here, Lu Karen and Yang Xinxin can control it. It can withstand the attacks of bishop-level aliens for a period of time. Just as Zhang Yi was immersed in the sense of accomplishment of rebuilding the sea fortress, the intelligence system sounded the alarm to him. "Master, there are warships approaching at a very high speed near the coast. They will enter the territorial waters of Huaxiu in 5 minutes, heading towards 5 High City." Zhang Yi frowned suddenly. At a time like this, which blind force would dare to come to the waters of Huaxiu country and come here for him? Chaos? Don't they want to live? Go check which country's warship this is. Zhang Yi said. Confirmed. The warship comes from Beidageng, Europe. Zhang Yi's eyes became sharp. Beidageng is the traditional religion with the largest number of believers, the largest scale, and the most influential areas in the world. After the end of the world, their influence will be magnified many times. But he had never had any grudges against Beidageng, so why should they bother him? When the intelligence system transmitted the picture, Zhang Yi saw the warship with a Chinese character, flying on its flag. However, the warship did not enter the territorial waters of Huaxiu State, but stopped in the high seas of. Soon, Zhang Yi received a message. He opened it and found that it was an email sent in the name of Arnold Olive, Cardinal of Beidageng, codenamed Michael. Official channels, with the electronic seal of the state of Baidi. Obviously, this was not a private visit. The wording of the email was very polite, and Olive hoped to meet Zhang Yi. What did he come to me for? Doubts arose in Zhang Yi's heart. He was not familiar with Olive. However, considering the influence of Junjing's sect around the world, Zhang Yi decided to communicate with the other party. Flower. Zhang Yi shouted, and Huahua, who had just been lying lazily like a melting noodle, immediately jumped up, jumped onto his back, and then climbed up steadily, hugging his head, revealing a cute cat head with 2 eyes as big as copper bells. Cats usually like to jump into people's arms, but Huahua rarely stays in Zhang Yi's arms outside. Because Zhang Yi doesn't like having his hands restricted, as that would affect his ability to draw his gun and fight at any time. Deng Shintong also stood up straight and asked in a deep voice, "Do you want me to gather some people?"
No.
Too many people would make us look weak. Zhang Yi said lightly. He gave Deng Shintong some face. If you follow us, you'll not be a help, you'll be a burden. Deng Shintong touched his nose and seemed to be aware of this problem. Besides, High City is Zhang Yi's territory. It is impossible for the other party to come here mindlessly to start a war and trigger a conflict between the world's first-class superpower and the first religion, right? Zhang Yi took Huahua with him, opened the second door, and quickly rushed to the sea off the coast of High City. After a while, he came to the edge of the sea area and saw a gray-white warship that looked like a mackerel. Zhang Yi sent a voice message to Olive. I'm here, is there anything I want to talk about? On the warship, Olive was wearing a bright red robe, and the robe was a white robe of the Knights Templar, with a silver cross hanging around his neck. He walked on the deck. Zhang Yi could see him, and he could also find Zhang Yi's location. Olive stepped on the deck with both feet, jumped up, and flew to a position not far from Zhang Yi with the help of the propulsion device. The two of them stared at each other from afar, separated by the border of Huaxi State. Olive's opponent gave the order, and soon the warship turned around and sailed away. Then Olive said to Zhang Yi, Chaos Pavilion, see you again. Zhang Yi said calmly, it's been less than half a month. Olive spread out his right hand. Can we find a place to have a good chat? Zhang Yi smiled slightly. Huahua narrowed her eyes and stared at Olive. The paw on Zhang Yi's head trembled slightly. That was its beastly instinct, a natural reaction when it encountered a powerful being. How strong is Olive? It's hard to say, but Zhang Yi knows that they were also in Fremons and killed a complete mechanical army. In other words, Olive's strength should be ranked among the best even at the bishop level. At least he is much better than Emperor Shi, a prophet who transformed into a combat alien. Facing Olive's request, Zhang Yi did not rush to answer, but asked, Can I ask first, what is the purpose of your coming here? I have never had any intersection with the Junjing Church. Olive nodded. This Vatican official, who was only below the Pope and in charge of the Knights Templar, had a very gentle attitude. It's about the incident in the Chernobyl wasteland. Chaos Pavilion. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed for a moment. Although he concealed his murderous intention very well, he became cautious inside. Now, he had to hide the fact that he had inherited the Yin clan. That will bring him big trouble. Oh, I remember a lot of things happened there. What exactly do you mean? Oliver raised his head. His eyes were grayish-white, giving people a feeling of compassion for all living beings and yet indifferent to everything. About the final moment, the 4 knights above Chernobyl, and the Lord of Hell. The Devil of Hell? Zhang Yi guessed that he was talking about the giant Drucker. It would seem too fake to pretend that I know nothing now. Any normal person would definitely investigate. His expression was a little serious. I have also been investigating those mysterious beings recently. However, their life levels are obviously much higher than ours. I don't think we are qualified to get involved. But as long as his secret is not discovered, everything else is negotiable. Yang Xinxin could also hear the two of them talking. Zhang Yi was still planning to find an excuse to get rid of him, but Yang Xinxin said, Brother, the Junjing Church may have extremely important information. Zhang Yi was a little curious when he heard this. He lowered his voice and said, Oh? What is it? Yang Xinxin said, The oldest version of the Holy Scripture that can be found so far is the Dead Sea Scrolls. The things recorded there are suspected to be stories of civilization from the ancient times. The Church of the Holy See has the most copies of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the world. Since they've come to you, you might as well listen to what they're planning. It would be good to get some information from them. Zhang Yi nodded after hearing this. Olive said, We in the Junjing Church have some very important information about this matter, and it will never be spread to the outside world. It concerns the survival of the entire human race, and I believe you will definitely be interested. So, can you give me a moment and listen to me? Olive seemed like a true gentleman. He was a well-bred and orthodox Christian, and his manners were more appropriate than those of a true Britannian gentleman. Zhang Yi was silent for a moment, then said, Okay, please follow me. Zhang Yi did not take him back to There was no need for people to see the construction progress of. He randomly found a desolate island, and then took out a house out of thin air from another dimension. That's right, that was originally a house prepared for the Fukiage troops to facilitate their expeditions. A square little house with a pointed roof, it is fully equipped with everything you need, including tables, chairs, benches, and even a coffee machine. The two entered the house, and outside was an icy sea with broken ice floating on it, which created a unique atmosphere. Zhang Yi came over, smiled, and sat down at the table, took 2 bottles of coffee from the alien space, pushed one bottle to the opposite side, and motioned for him to sit down. Ollie's eyes glanced at Zhang Yi's hands. Those were a pair of dry and strong hands, always in a relaxed state, but not really slack, but able to suddenly pounce and kill at any time. Thinking of Zhang Yi's planning and calculations for the last trial level, as well as his desperate means, Ollie was more convinced that Zhang Yi would be the best person to execute their mission. I didn't drink the bottled coffee that Zhang Yi handed over. I only drank freshly ground coffee. But he still sat down. Zhang Yi said, "Tell me about it." Huahua's round eyes were fixed on Ollie. Ollie was silent for a moment to summarize his words. Then he spoke slowly. The one who appeared in the sky over Chernobyl that day was the devil from hell, Mammon. Zhang Yi had heard the story recorded in the Holy Scripture from Yang Xinshin a long time ago, and Ollie repeated it here. Through Ollie's words, the Drucker giant was redefined. They believe that they are a group of creatures created by the only God, the Creator, but ultimately they went against the will of the Creator and became rebellious and fallen. However, a key piece of information was captured by Zhang Yi. The 7 demon kings of hell have always tried to overthrow the rule of the Creator. And the one who appeared in Chernobyl that day was Mammon, one of the 7 deadly sins, representing the sin of gluttony. Zhang Yi thought to himself, the 7 devil kings of hell, that is to say, in the mythology of the Junjing Church, there are a total of 7 Drucker giants? Zhang Yi lowered his eyes and waited for what happened next. Ollie continued, the ultimate wish of the devil king of hell is to lead all the devils in hell on the day of his fall and completely destroy the human world. Then, using the human world as a springboard, he will fight against the heavens again and seize the authority of God. This is not just a myth, but God's revelation of the future. It is all recorded in the Book of Revelation. Now that the Mammon Sutra has appeared, we must find a way to seal it up and let it sink into hell forever. Otherwise, the world will inevitably fall into despair. Zhang Yi thought to himself, seize God's authority? The Drucker clan was created by Kagago, and their original purpose of existence was to help Kagago observe the material world, so they were once messengers of God. Later, due to his control, he was destroyed by Kagago himself, and in the legend, he became someone who wanted to kill God and usurp the throne. Etc. A strange light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. Perhaps Drucker really has the ability to kill gods. The total amount of spiritual essence in the etheric world is extremely huge. Logically speaking, the amount of spiritual essence in the material world is only a drop in the bucket. Even if the Drucker clan gathered all the material world, they could not defeat God. However, Drucker is, after all, an incarnation of God. In addition, they have nearly annihilated bodies and a greedy instinct to devour everything. As long as time is long enough, unless the Creator really abandons the material world completely, theoretically speaking, they will continue to evolve. Even if the hope is slim, our existence really has a 1/billionth chance of replacing the Creator and becoming an etheric entity with more spiritual essence. Is this possible? If it were for their race, this would be an absolute joke. Probability is like marking every grain of sand on the beach of the entire planet. You pick up a grain of sand at random, and it is the one you want. However, Drucker was a very different species. Their spirituality is very low, and their desires support them to survive, instead of self-destructing like the Ihan people. As long as the universe is destroyed, we will try every possible way to survive. You guys, have you made the Creator feel afraid? Zhang Yi took a sip of coffee to hide his inner shock. What does this have to do with me? Zhang Yi regained his composure and looked up at Ollie. I have seen how strong he is. It is almost impossible to even hurt him. Ollie didn't waste any time and directly showed Zhang Yi a picture. It was a scene of Mammon fighting the four horsemen. The four knights disappeared while fighting in the infinite brilliance, but their attacks caused great damage to Mammon. The weapons of the four knights pierced deeply into his body, leaving penetrating wounds. The chest, neck, and even a huge long knife pierced directly through the head. Even so, he didn't die. Ollie said, "Those silver knights are angels created by the Creator in ancient times. They caused great damage to Mammon and made him fall into a deep sleep. The seal is now very stable after it was born. We must seal it again." Zhang Yi drooped his eyelids, and he probably understood the other party's intention. "You want me to go?" Ollie looked at him and said, "The Junjing Church is a loyal believer of God. We exist to wait for this day and lead the world on the road to the Holy Church. It is our mission to seal the devil of hell. Therefore, the Junjing Church will do its best to do this. In addition, we will contact the top aliens from various countries to carry out this operation together. And the reason I came to see you is because I have a special job that needs you to do." Zhang Yi didn't say anything and continued drinking his coffee. Ollie put his hands on the table, right where Zhang Yi could see them. He stared at Zhang Yi and asked, "Mr. Chaos, as far as we know, you have no religious beliefs, right?" Zhang Yi nodded. "In the past, I believed in money, but later I believed in fate. I just choose to believe in religion because believing in religion used to cost money, and now it costs my life." Ollie said, "Then you should consider joining our Junjing Church." Zhang Yi raised his eyes and stared at him deeply. "The Junjing Church is the most influential sect in the world. With your strength, if you join us, you can at least become a bishop. If you perform well and are recognized by the Pope or recommended by his fellow cardinals, you may even become a cardinal in the future. The most important thing is he spread his hands. You are a free person, and you do not belong to any official organization in the strict sense. So you are free to choose your own beliefs. On the contrary, if you join us, you will get the protection of the most powerful sect in the world. You know, even Huashu country or Colombia are considered superior in front of the Holy See." Zhang Yi raised the corners of his mouth. "I remember that your doctrine talks about the 7 deadly sins of man. You have committed the sin of arrogance, Mr. Ollie." Ollie shook his head, looking very serious. "I'm not kidding you. You don't know the origin and background of the Junjing Church at all." Zhang Yi still refused. "I said it before, I don't believe in religion. Strictly speaking, I am not willing to belong to any force, because that means you will be obeying others." He knocked on the table. "Does my joining your sect have anything to do with what you said before?" Ollie's expression was a little hesitant. The matter is indeed very tricky and cannot be revealed easily. But it was obvious that if he didn't explain clearly, Zhang Yi would not indulge him and would probably just turn around and leave. Ollie changed his tone. "Lord Chaos, I want to confirm one thing first." Zhang Yi looked at Ollie. "What's the matter?" "You." His eyes suddenly became sharp, as if he wanted to clearly capture any slight fluctuations on Zhang Yi's face. "Have you joined the Tong organization?" "Of course no." Zhang Yi gave the answer without any hesitation. Hearing this answer, Ollie's expression relaxed a lot. "Then this topic must continue." Leaning back in his chair, "If you choose to join the Hitomi organization, it is equivalent to standing on the opposite side of our church. So if someone from that evil organization tempts you to join in the future, I hope you can think carefully and don't make the wrong choice." Zhang Yi knew what the conflict was between the two organizations. "I just heard from Yang Xinxin that the history of the Tong organization is also very long, which may be inferior to the origin of the Junjing sect, the Messianic sect. But the same thing applies. I am not interested in joining a sect or making enemies. Let's talk business." Zhang Yixiao became a little impatient. Ollie thought for a long time and decided to gain people's trust first. "What I'm going to tell you next is confidential, so I hope you won't tell anyone." Zhang Yi nodded. Only then did Ollie explain his purpose. Inviting Zhang Yi to join the church was just a casual move. Of course, if they could win over such a powerful bishop-level alien, that would be what they wanted. But we also understand that the success rate of this matter is very low. And Ollie's real purpose is to let Zhang Yi, a free and powerful man, perform a special mission. We have confirmed that the place where Mammon is sealed is in the Sahara Desert in North Africa, in an area called the Devil's Eye. In ancient times, in order to seal the devil, God gave the angels the means to seal them through divine revelation. And these sealing methods are written in the original version of the Holy Scripture. The original Holy Scripture is the parchment scroll found in the caves around the Dead Sea. It is also the version we call the Dead Sea Scrolls. It records the Book of Seals that sealed the Demon King. However, due to the long history, the Dead Sea Scrolls have long been incomplete. The sealed book has also been scattered all over the place. Zhang Yi looked at Ollie and said, "So, you came to me to ask me to find the sealed scroll in the Dead Sea Scrolls." Ollie said, "The Book of Sealing is just a name. It not only contains the sealing method but also the powerful sealing object. The two together make up the complete Book of Sealing. Only by using it can we seal the indestructible Demon King of Hell. There are 7 Demon Kings of Hell, corresponding to 7 sealed books and sealed objects. We have collected all the methods to seal Mammon, but we lack the necessary sealing objects. We have received news that the sealed object codenamed Lance of Longinus is in the isolated country of Cage in North Africa.